Welcome to Annapolis Mosaics. Our program spotlights people in our community who are involved in activities designed to promote good human relations. I am Michael Keller, the chair of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission and your host. The commission is a city board that seeks to promote equal opportunity and to eliminate discrimination. My guest today is Tony Gamboa, who is president of the board of directors of the Organization of Hispanic Latin Americans of Anne Arundel County, also known by its acronym OHLA. Tony, welcome to Annapolis Mosaics.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, could you begin by sharing with us some statistics about the demography of Latinos in Anne Arundel County and or Annapolis? How many are here, where they reside, their country of origin, what the growth rate has been. It doesn't have to be exact, but give our viewers a sense of what the numbers are like.
Well, in the city of Annapolis proper, the last estimate I've seen is that up to 17% of the population is Hispanic. And Anne Arundel County, the last census, 2010, it was 6.1, and that grew from 2006, where it was something like 3-point-something percent. So there is an upward increase. The Hispanics community tends to be predominantly El Salvadoran, and followed closely by Mexicans. And also the other two countries fairly well represented are Guatemala and Honduras. But the majority, for some reason, tends to be from El Salvador. The community tends to be low income primarily. They come from a different cultural background than the Annapolis area. They're basically rural, and many have low education. So that's kind of the community that we serve.
Okay. Where does OHLA fit into all of this? What's your mission?
Okay, OHLA was founded in November of 1998. We're a corporation, but we're also a charitable organization, a 501c3 organization. And it was founded back then because of the growing Hispanic population, and that the Hispanic population had certain difficulties navigating various aspects of government, corporate, banking, medical, and they needed assistance in managing that. And so OHLA began at that time. We have a partnership with the Department of Social Services. We occupy space at the Community Service Center, which is at 80 West Street, and we're in Suite A. We have 2 cubicles in that area. And our largest volume is assisting Hispanics with applications to the Department of Social Services. We do many other things which I can get to, but that's kind of our primary focus, helping Hispanics navigate these corporate, governmental, medical systems.
Okay, and basically what I'm hearing you say is that OHLA seeks to bridge the gaps between the needs of the Latino community and county resources.
Yes.
Let's talk about some specific areas now that OHLA provides help in. Could we start with talking a little bit about healthcare and health issues, medical needs?
Right. With regard to healthcare, for years we have assisted the community, mostly with regard to their children who are citizens, obtain Medicaid insurance. And so we help them prepare the forms. They have to give us the information, but we assist them in that preparation, telling them specifically what they need to provide. And then those are submitted to the Department of Health, who then, after some period, gives them a Medicaid card for their children. Additionally, lately there's a program that Maryland has called REACH, which is for the people that can't get other insurance, and we assist them in applying for REACH, which is a new program.
All right. How about the area of education?
Education, we, as I said, the parents tend to have low education, elementary school, many of them, but the children and those are immigrants, and the children are in school here, learning English and learning and getting an education in Anne Arundel County and Annapolis City. We try to assist our clients as best we can. A lot of times they get notices from the school and they bring them to us because they don't know how to read them, so we tell them, translate and tell them what they say. If there are problems with the children in school, we coordinate with the parents and the counselors at school to provide translation and assistance like that.
Okay. And how about in the area of housing?
Housing, our main effort in housing is landlord-tenant issues. From time to time, people might be evicted for one reason or another. They have problems with insects in the apartment. So we kind of interface with the rental community and help them. We draft letters for them. Sometimes they have rental, they rent, and the person doesn't pay them rent, so we prepare documents for them to go into small claims court.
Right. You know, OHLA views itself as a one-stop referral shop for Latinos. How does that work? Could you elaborate on exactly how that works, that one-stop referral shop?
Okay, what we had the numbers of last year, we saw some 2,500 clients, and we see them on a walk-in basis with no appointment. They walk in and they wait, and we then ascertain what their problem is. Most of the time we address the problem ourselves, such as helping them prepare an application. We give legal assistance every Thursday, and so we help them there. Many times we can't solve the problem for them, so we refer them to other county agencies. For example, if there's domestic violence, we refer them to the YWCA, who has a domestic violence arm. If the legal problem is too much or they need to go into court, then we refer them to legal counsel, legal aid if they qualify, or the public defender.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the probably greatest challenges that Latinos that are coming to the United States have, it seems to me, has to do with the issues of literacy and English conversation, and the two are not the same. As you have noted, you're dealing with a population that many of them have a very low level of education. Some of them do not know how to read and write. And others who may know how to read and write in Spanish cannot converse effectively, if at all, in English. And you're absolutely right. It's mainly the adults. The children who are in school become fluent in English very, very quickly, both in terms of reading and writing, as well as in terms of speaking. I can sort of share this with you that I co-coordinate with my church an after-school homework program for kindergarten through 5th grade students, and all are from the Latino community. And it's fascinating. The children are fluent in English, fluent in reading and writing English. They are fluent in speaking Spanish, but they can't read or write Spanish. And that reflects again on their family background. So what I'm getting to is, this is an important area in terms of being able to function. What does OHLA contribute in this area? What does it do to help to promote both literacy as well as English conversational skills among the new immigrants?
We have a partnership with the Literacy Council, which is another charitable organization that provides English classes anywhere, anytime. That you don't have to come to them; they come to you. And where we can, we refer people to them. Recently, one of our volunteers has set up a program for helping with conversational English. It's surprising when you ask them, do they speak English, they say no. But then if you leave them to their own devices with somebody, you find out they do speak and understand quite a bit of English. So this program tries to assist them in conversational English. It's not a English as a second language class. It's conversational. One of the big difficulties, people say, well, the first generation should go learn English right away. Well, in a perfect world, that's true. But if you go back, people that had ancestors who were German, Italian, and Irish that came, well, Irish is different, but who came to New York City, they didn't all learn English right away. They spoke Italian and they lived in German sections of the city. The other problem is a lot of our clients are single mothers, and they're working from 1 to 2 jobs to support their families and their children. So feasibly, they don't have much time at the end of their day to go take an English class. So it's a difficult problem. As you say, it's a first generational problem, but that is not new to our immigrant communities over the years.
Right. We're going to take a break now, but when we return, I will be speaking with Tony Gamboa about additional activities in which the organization OHLA is involved. We're talking today with Tony Gamboa, who is the president of the board of directors of the Organization of Hispanic Latin Americans of Anne Arundel County. Tony, does OHLA work primarily with naturalized citizens, or does it work with others who are not yet naturalized and who are along the way in terms of that process? I guess what I'm asking is, who's your clientele in terms of their background, in terms of immigrant status?
Well, our clients, very few of them are citizens.
Okay.
If they're educated and they have their green card and they're citizens, they do come occasionally, but they don't have much need. Primarily, our clients are people without papers. Okay. And I think a great part of the population is in that situation. Their children, however, for the most part, are citizens because they were born here. And so while their children are entitled to benefits, the parents are not. And that community of immigrants really has the greatest need and is kind of needs assistance in making it on a daily basis.
You know, one of the great aspects of the American experience, and it's one that differentiates the United States with other countries around the world, is that we have truly been a melting pot. If you go back historically, as you made reference to earlier, you go back to the time the Germans came to the U.S., and then of course you had the Irish and others from Southern Europe. You had the Chinese immigration, and you've got the Latino immigration now. but all of the characteristics have been the same, and that is immigrants assimilate into the culture of America. And this is not true in other countries where we can point to. And I'm certain that the same is going to be true with the latest wave of immigrants as well, with time. So my question is, what specifically does OHLA do to contribute to the integration of individuals and families into American society?
Well, as I said, we help them with the benefits that the children are entitled to, and if the adults are in. We also work with them if they become eligible for permanent residence cards.
Okay.
We help them fill that out, and it's a very daunting, paperwork-intensive process to get a green card or to apply for citizenship. With regard, the latest thing that we've been doing to integrate a few of the children were brought here by their parents when they were minors, under 16 years of age. And President Obama has a program called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Okay. And that program enables, with a variety of criteria of when they have had to come here, what age they came here. If they qualify and they're in high school or have a GED, or are in school, such as a community college, they can obtain a work permit and a Social Security number. And so that program is currently ongoing. We've helped a lot of the young people, and a lot of these young people are extremely impressive in their dedication to school. And the first one that I work with is now in college, so it's very satisfying.
Okay. To what extent does OHLA work with public agencies, with policymakers, and with the private sector?
We work, as I said, a lot with the Department of Social Services. Right. We're in their building, their consumer resource center. When our clients come in to make an application, we help them with the application, and then we walk up to the desk with them and translate so that application gets through. We answer questions if the caseworker has questions, and hopefully they can get that paper, and we've been very successful at that. We also provide, as I said, weekly legal assistance. I do that every Thursday from 9 in the morning till about 1 o'clock, and we help them with every aspect that they could have, family law, divorce, custody, taxes, immigration issues, and that sort of thing.
As you noted earlier, Tony, the Latino community in Anne Arundel County is diverse. A majority, as you said, are from Salvador, but you've got many from Mexico, and then you've got some from those other countries you mentioned as well, Guatemala and Honduras. And even though the language is the same, the culture and mores of these societies can be very, very, very different. How does that impact your work? How does it affect what you do in terms of working with people who come from the same language and cultural background, but come from very different countries with different experiences?
Actually, they're a lot more alike than they are different.
Okay.
They all speak Spanish. They might have different words, but and the other thing is those communities tend to hang together. The Salvadorans. One of the big differences with El Salvador is that they have a lot of violence in that country. A lot of the gangs that we deported are now set up in the country and have and provide a serious threat. So we've had a big influx of young children coming by themselves, as you've probably read in the news, and that's a problem that's common to El Salvador. Mexico has their drug issues, but I don't think they have quite the violence that El Salvador has against individuals. So I think that's a key point, and we see a lot of that, and people seeking assistance, especially for young children that have come by themselves. The Homeland Security just wants to find a place for them, and so they assign them to the nearest relative. Now that relative may or may not be here with documentation, but they're sent to that person, and so that person now has this child that they're responsible for. And unfortunately, the dates for hearings, we've received red letters for them that their hearing won't be until 2019, which is a lot of time to be in limbo.
From your experience, do Latinos in Anne Arundel County and Annapolis face much discrimination, and if so, in what way?
Well, I hesitate to say discrimination, but up until they do tend to be singled out by the police. In the past, before Maryland changed its laws, they couldn't get licenses. So if a policeman saw a car with a number of Hispanic men in it, they would stop, and of course the person would be driving without a license. More often than not, they were inebriated. Now that they can get licenses and they can get IDs, that problem has kind of ameliorated. But that I see. I don't. I think that was the primary problem that we saw.
Okay. What would you identify as OHLA's greatest accomplishments in our community? The things that you would say, gosh, this is the things we're most proud about.
I think personally it's the dependent children with child, the DACA it's called, is getting those young people a legal status. And I think that's, the others we've helped to get assistance for their children, food stamps, medical assistance. But I think the thing I'm proudest of is the number of children we've allowed to be, or helped become legal. The other thing is that we and other organizations are going to be inundated. We have to see how the current court case at the Supreme Court turns out, which President Obama's program would allow people that have been here 5 years and have U.S.-born children to get work permits, and that is a good 80% of our population. So if all those people come wanting their paperwork filled out, we're going to be very busy people.
Okay, and I guess that would sort of play into what your greatest challenges are too. Am I correct in that, in terms of what may come as a result of what the Supreme Court ultimately decides or doesn't decide to do in this area? How do you really see the legal issue playing out in terms of its likely impact on you, whether the case goes one way or goes another way? As you well know, the court right now only has 8 members. And it's conceivable that court could split 4-4, which would mean that you've got different policies in different jurisdictions around the country. That's a real possibility. So how do you see that playing out and its impact on OHLA? If
the court is 4-4, then the lower court ruling at the appellate court holds, and that appellate court overturned the president's program.
That's right.
If the court rules that the president had authority to do that program, that's going to have a tremendous impact, because I've told you we had 2,500 clients last year, and if 80% of those qualify for this program, they're going to be coming to us to help them fill out the paperwork. And if DACA is any example, it's going to be paperwork intensive. And they're going to have to prove they were here 5 years. They have to prove, well, proving that they have an American child. There's a birth certificate to show that. But I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. Okay.
You know, the experience that I have seen with the Latinos with whom I've come in contact with through the homework and reading program in our church is that they are very anxious to become a functioning part of American society. And my experience has been that there are individuals who, as you said, hold many jobs, sometimes jobs that others might not want to take. There's very strong family ties too, very, very close, and they very much focus on the needs of their children. What do you think about looking down the road? How are things you think are going to work out in terms of the experiences that Latinos and others are going to have? And this is especially important now as we enter a presidential campaign in which there's a real difference between the positions that have been taken on this issue between the presumptive Republican and Democratic nominees. And I can recall 4 years ago when we mentioned to the children that there was an election coming up, and we didn't quiz them on it, but there was a very great response because some of them had made a real comment about what they thought about each of the candidates. And so these conversations are going on in their homes. What do you see as coming from the standpoint of OHLA and its work to really help this community?
Well, just as a sidelight to that, I've seen in the news that the other day that the registration and the efforts by those that can to get Hispanics to get citizenship has increased. And one of the things I can tell you from my experience is that they know very well what's happening because Telemundo and other stations are telling them in Spanish exactly what's happening. Right. I see that those that can't vote obviously can't vote, but this is going to have an impact on the children for a long time to come because this next generation is going to be able to vote because they're citizens. Right. Those but I think they're very conscious of what's going on, and we see that in our dealings with them.
Okay. Tony, I'm sure that our viewers are going to want to contact you and get more information about OHLA. Could you share with them once again the address that people can come to if they need assistance, as well as other information like a phone number they can call or a website that they can access?
We're at 80 West Street.
Okay.
And OHLA is open 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday from 9, although there's generally somebody there at 8 to 9. We have one person that is there every day of the week, and volunteers are day by day. They come in 1 day a week. The best number to reach me or Julio Martinez, our office manager, is 410-269-4421. That number rings at 80 West Street.
Thank you for viewing our program today, and please join us again on Annapolis Mosaics. If you would like more information about the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, please jot down the information on your screen. You can contact us at 410-263-7998 or by email at hrcommission@annapolis.gov, or check out our page at the City of Annapolis website. Go to www.annapolis.gov, click on the city government icon, then on Boards and Commissions, and scroll down to the Human Relations Commission page. And always remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "We have flown the air like birds and swum the seas like fishes, but have yet to learn the simple act of walking the earth as brothers and sisters."